All right, so are you ready to dive into something really strange?
Oh, always. Hit me with it.
All right, well, we're looking into those unexplained drone sightings over New Jersey.
Right.
And these aren't like the little ones you see kids playing with in the park.
No, not at all.
Witnesses are describing some massive drones,
Huge, yeah.
some even size of SUVs, and the capabilities are crazy.
Like way beyond anything you can just buy, you know?
Exactly. And it's not just a few random people saying this. We're talking law enforcement,
Yes.
military personnel, even some pretty high-profile people.
Yeah, you've got like Congressman Chris Smith and Assemblywoman Doris Matsui, both from New Jersey. They're super concerned about this.
Wow, so it's getting serious attention then.
Oh, absolutely. These aren't people who just jump at shadows, you know? They're both really worried about the potential threat to important infrastructure, especially with these things being spotted around power plants and military bases.
I can see why they'd be worried, especially with all the talk about national security these days.
Oh, yeah, for sure. And Congressman Smith even mentioned a Coast Guard report about drones following a rescue boat.
Wait, really?
Yeah, and that kind of contradicts what the official word is, you know, them saying it's just misidentified aircraft or something.
So that's where all the skepticism's coming from.
Exactly. If it's all routine, why all the secrecy? Then you've got Assemblywoman Matsui talking about how state police actually encountered some of these drones and they just went dark when they tried to approach them.
Whoa, like they vanished.
Pretty much. That points to some seriously advanced stealth tech.
Yeah, not your everyday drone stuff.
Not at all. And this is where it gets even more interesting, because Lou Elizondo, you know, the former Pentagon official who's been all over the UAP scene.
Oh yeah, I know who you're talking about. He's been pretty vocal about a lot of this stuff.
Well, he's weighed in on this too, and he's not holding back. He's basically saying the government's response is either a deliberate cover-up or they're just incompetent.
Wow, strong words.
He doesn't mince words, that's for sure. He's basically saying this is way more than a simple mistake. And he's suggesting we could be dealing with a real threat, maybe even from inside the country.
From inside. What, like some rogue group operating within the government or something?
Yeah, he hasn't ruled that out. That's what he calls a rogue element. Imagine that, a group working against their own country's interests.
That's pretty terrifying if you think about it.
It's a chilling thought. And on top of that, he suggested that these drones could even be a distraction, a way to cover up real UAP activity.
So like they're trying to muddy the waters and make people doubt the legitimate sightings?
Exactly. And let's be real, all this is happening at a time when global tensions are already running pretty high.
Yeah, true. So it's no wonder people are getting a little freaked out.
I'd say so. The timing, the secrecy, the government's evasive answers. It's a recipe for anxiety.
Definitely. So we've got officials who are concerned, a public that's skeptical, but what about the people on the ground? You know, the ones actually investigating this.
Ah, you're talking about Skywatch, right?
Yeah, the company that specializes in aerospace defense intelligence. They've been working with the FBI and Homeland Security on this.
Right, they're the ones with the boots on the ground, and their technical expertise is invaluable here.
So what have they found out?
Well, they've confirmed that these are most likely Group 3 military-grade drones.
Group 3? What does that even mean?
It means we're talking about some seriously sophisticated technology, not the kind of drones you pick up for fun. Think like a wingspan of 3 to 5 meters.
Whoa. That's huge.
Yeah, imagine a small car, maybe a big SUV, that's the size we're talking about.
Okay, this is way beyond hobbyist territory then.
Way beyond. And they haven't shied away from the national security implications either. They're pointing the finger at a possible foreign adversary, maybe China, based on some past incidents where they've tried to get into U.S. airspace.
Oh, wow. Like that whole Chinese spy balloon thing?
Exactly. This could be another layer of that whole situation. And what's even more concerning is what these drones can do.
What, like spy on us?
Oh, that and more. Skywatch has observed them seemingly messing with other drones' batteries.
Wait, messing with them how?
Like, imagine you send up a drone to check out one of these things and suddenly it just drops out of the sky.
Like they can disable them remotely.
Yeah, exactly. It's like electronic warfare, you know? Disabling enemy drones, maybe even taking control of them.
That's some seriously scary tech.
It is. And this level of sophistication makes you question the government's whole nothing unusual stance even more.
Right. It's like there's this huge gap between what the witnesses are seeing and what the officials are saying.
It's a massive disconnect, and that's what's fueling this whole mystery.
But we're not done yet.
Yeah.
There's another layer to this whole thing that we need to look at.
Oh, yeah. Lay it on me. So while we were getting ready for this, getting all the info together,
Yeah.
we got a ton of questions from listeners.
Oh, really?
Yeah, and a lot of them were like echoing the same things we've been talking about.
I bet. Some of those viewer questions were pretty thought-provoking.
Oh, yeah. What kind of stuff?
Well, one that really stood out to me was, why do we assume these drones don't have, living beings in them?
Ooh, that's a good one.
Right. It makes you think about what we consider technology. We always picture drones as these unmanned things, just remote controlled. But what if it's something more advanced?
It really challenges our assumptions.
Totally.
Right.
The viewer even brought up that smaller drones could still have, beings inside, just much smaller than us.
Interesting point.
Yeah, and they were questioning if these are even really drones as we think of them, or maybe something more like remote-controlled craft.
Or even AI powered.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Our understanding of tech is always changing.
Always evolving. What we think is impossible today could be totally normal tomorrow.
Right, and that's why it's so frustrating when officials aren't transparent.
Oh, absolutely. The lack of info just leads to more speculation.
Totally. And another question that resonated with me was, are these drones showing up in other countries?
Oh, yeah, that's a big one.
Right, and the answer is yes.
Big time. We've got confirmed reports from the UK, Russia, Australia, all over.
So it's not just a New Jersey thing, it's worldwide.
The global phenomenon.
Which makes it even more serious.
Oh, yeah, way more. It takes it from a local mystery to a potential international security threat.
Exactly. You've got these large, advanced drones operating all over the place, and nobody seems to know what's going on.
And the authorities aren't giving us straight answers.
It's like something out of the X-Files,
Haha, where's Mulder and Scully when you need them?
Seriously. But jokes aside, it makes you question everything.
What do we really know about what's happening around us?
Exactly. And then you've got the whole UAP connection, too.
Right. Are these drones just a cover-up for something even weirder?
Maybe they're trying to explain away real UAP sightings by saying it's just drones.
Or what if it's a mix of everything?
It's a lot to process.
Yeah.
And it all comes back to transparency, doesn't it?
Oh, totally. We need more openness, not just to calm people down, but to build trust.
What if all the countries just, put aside their differences and work together on this?
Imagine the information we could get if it was a global effort.
Right. What if the answer is something no single country can figure out alone?
It's possible, and even if it turns out to be something less exciting, the search for answers is important.
Totally. It makes us confront our assumptions, rethink technology, and admit there's still stuff we don't know.
Exactly. There are still mysteries out there.
Okay, so let's sum this up. What are the big takeaways from all this?
Well, the nothing unusual story just isn't holding up anymore.
Not with all these witnesses and the crazy tech these drones have.
Right, it's something bigger than they're letting on.
Definitely. We're still looking at the possibility of a foreign adversary, a rogue group, or even a UAP connection.
And those all need more investigation.
Absolutely. And that lack of transparency from the authorities, that's not helping.
Just makes people more anxious and raises more questions.
I know. It's the most frustrating part. More questions than answers.
But maybe that's the point,
What do you mean?
Maybe it's a signal for us to stay curious, keep asking questions, and demand more transparency.
I like that.
Keep digging. Don't just accept the easy answers.
Well said. It's interesting. We've been talking about the big picture, the global stuff, the lack of transparency and all that.
Right.
But what about the average person? What can they do, to help figure this out or at least raise awareness?
That's a great question. I think sometimes people feel helpless, when it's something this big and mysterious.
Yeah, I get that.
But everybody can contribute in some way, even if you think you saw something weird in the sky.
Don't just ignore it.
Exactly. Document it, share it. There's Skywatch news outlets like News Nation. They're looking for this stuff.
Yeah, those eyewitness accounts can be really valuable.
Huge. Sometimes they're the key to cracking the whole thing open.
Even if it seems small, it could be like a missing piece someone else needs.
Exactly. And you don't even have to have seen anything yourself. Maybe you've got some skills that could help analyze the data that's already out there.
Oh, like what kind of skills?
Oh, all sorts of things. Are you good with data visualization, image analysis, coding? There's a lot of open source stuff, online communities dedicated to this kind of research.
So you can get involved from home even if you're not out there chasing drones.
Exactly. You can be part of the effort to figure this out.
I love that. And even if you don't have any special skills, you can still just talk about it, right?
Absolutely. Get people thinking, start conversations with your friends, family, share what you've learned.
Yeah, it's all about getting out of those echo chambers, having those conversations about stuff we don't understand.
Exactly. The more people who are aware and asking questions, the more pressure there is on, the people in charge to be transparent and accountable.
I love that. Well said.
Yeah.
So to everyone listening, keep your eyes on the sky, stay curious, and remember, sometimes the biggest discoveries start with a simple question.
Absolutely.
And maybe your question, your observation could be the one that helps us finally figure this whole thing out.
Who knows? Until next time, keep exploring.
Thanks for joining us on this deep dive.